My girlfriend thinks I'm deathly allergic to shellfish, but I've been lying this whole time and now she's taking photos of me like I'm already dead. I've never been allergic to anything in my life, but on our first date, Ivy ordered the lobster tower and literally moaned when she tasted it. She went on this whole speech about how she judges people by whether they appreciate seafood and how her ex-boyfriend dumped her because she spent their vacation money on a wholesale crate of Alaskan king crab. When the waiter came, I panicked and said, "Absolutely no shellfish because my throat will close up and I'll die." Ivy grabbed my hand across the table with tears in her eyes. "My cousin died from anaphylaxis at my wedding reception, and I know CPR now because of it," she said. Since then, she's carried 2 EpiPens everywhere and made laminated allergy cards in 12 languages for our trip to Thailand that never happened because she was afraid of me dying by fish sauce. The crackers appeared 3 days ago, and Ivy went into full crisis mode calling poison control while making me drink activated charcoal she keeps under the sink. She'd thrown out everything in our pantry that shared a shelf with the crackers and spent $800 on new dishes because of potential residue. The guilt was eating me alive, but not enough to admit I'd been living on lobster rolls during my fake work trips to Boston. Ivy had started this thing 6 weeks ago where she made me protein shakes every morning with what she called her special immunity blend. They tasted like battery acid mixed with chalk, but she'd stand there watching until I swallowed every drop. "Your reactions have been getting worse based on my charts," she said yesterday, showing me a graph with red circles marking phantom symptoms she'd invented. The shakes were making me actually sick with blinding headaches, and my fingernails had started turning yellow, but Ivy said that meant the toxins were leaving my body. She'd installed security cameras in our kitchen to monitor cross-contamination, and I caught her reviewing footage of me at 3 in the morning, taking notes about how many times I touched my throat. 2 weeks ago, I saw her grinding up pills and mixing them into the powder, but when I asked, she said they were probiotics from Germany that cost $300 per bottle. She started taking my blood pressure every morning and writing down numbers that didn't match what I saw on the display. "Your body is fighting so hard to stay alive," she'd whisper while stroking my face. She'd made us both get $1 million life insurance policies because she said she wanted to be prepared for the inevitable, and she'd already picked out my burial plot near her cousin who died from the allergy. The shakes got stronger each week, and she'd added injections of what she called vitamin B12, but the needle was huge, and the injection sites turned black. She'd been photographing my deterioration every morning, saying she needed documentation for the specialists, but she'd pose me like a corpse with my eyes closed and arms crossed. Last Thursday, she had me sign papers she said were for medical power of attorney, but she covered most of the text with other documents, so I could only see the signature line. She'd started sleeping with her phone recording voice memos and would whisper, "I tried everything to save him," in her sleep over and over, like she was rehearsing. Yesterday afternoon, I came home sick from what I thought was food poisoning and found Ivy in the kitchen with a syringe pulling liquid from a vial into my tomorrow's shake. She spun around and knocked over her whole setup, sending needles scattering across the floor, along with a medical textbook open to a page about induced anaphylaxis for insurance fraud. The vial rolled toward me, and I saw it was labeled epinephrine, but crossed out, and underneath someone had written potassium chloride in Ivy's handwriting. She started babbling about how it was just vitamin B12 for energy, but her hands were shaking, and she kept glancing at the knife block. That night after she fell asleep, I went through her laptop and found searches for how much potassium stops a heart, and anaphylaxis versus cardiac arrest autopsy, and a draft email to herself that said, "Make sure to act surprised when it happens, and mention the crackers to the paramedics." There were screenshots of my life insurance policy, with highlights around the double payout for accidental death, and a folder called Switzerland Trip After, with first-class tickets dated for next month. This morning, my throat actually closed for real, and I collapsed clawing at my neck, while Ivy calmly watched from the doorway, counting seconds on her phone. She finally walked over and injected me with what she said was the EpiPen, but the pain that shot through my chest felt like lightning, not relief. The paramedics barely got me stabilized, and at the hospital, they found potassium levels that should have killed me, but 0 shellfish antibodies in my blood. "You were supposed to die after the 3rd injection," Ivy screamed as security dragged her away. "The detective says she's done this before, twice. I still haven't told anyone about the fake allergy."